Hi, welcome back to a brand new video of the Targeted Individual Program, Targeted Individual Experience. As soon as I said the word targeted, you get a call on. This is what they do. Okay. This is my second time doing this video. I did it before, and again, you hear the call on. I said the word second time. Again, it's like a race, a competition, first, second, third, all this nonsense. Anyhow, um, so as I was leaving here last night, my daughter took up a picture of Ethan, and she showed it to me, and she was like, she kind of held it up in front of me. Again, that's hijacking my daughter's consciousness. And when I talk about being microchipped and being brainwashed, having people around me manipulated by silent sound, spread spectrum technology. Okay, again, I'm just like I said, it's my purpose to expose what it is that they're doing. So, it's a picture of my son, okay, as a baby, right? And coincidentally, I go on Facebook, and in the Facebook memory section, right, that shows up when you go through, you look at the stories. Picture, you know, um, different polls, but taken at the same time as this picture was in the Facebook memory section, right? Yet now they're doing the spitting sound, right? So anyhow, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's weird. And then I've been trying to call Ethan. He gets out of school at 11:30 today. All right, it is now um, minutes to one. Okay, he didn't call or text to say. I'll tell you exactly what time it is. Actually, it's after one. So he didn't call or text to say where he was at, and I've been trying to get his mother to get him to text us or call us when he's out of school, on his way home, or whether he's going to after school or not, just to let us know. All right, and she's been pushing back on that. She's been like, "Oh well, he's a teenager now, and this and that." And I said to her, I said, "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, if you're not setting rules, if you're not giving them structure, I said, it's a reason why, she calls me at 8:40 in the morning to tell me, the kids are totally different when they're with you, when they're with me, like they're like a totally different person, and I'm like, yeah, because I've been trying to get you to be the type of parents that they need. Meanwhile, you've become the parents that they want you to be. Okay, because they're kids. So what happened when you let the kids run the household? Hmm? Yeah, and again, this is what she doesn't quite understand, you know. And I've been trying to get like this for years. Every time I try to discipline the kids, give them structure or anything like that, give them good study habits, she comes and she, interferes. You know, oh, you know, he shouldn't be reading for an hour, half an hour. No, he can read for an hour. He can read for 2 hours. But there's always something with her. It's always, I just watched a video of, grown woman, right? Had a child as a teenager, living in a single mother's household, and black women tend to ignore the fact that single headed household by black women produce the worst outcomes for their children, right? It is statistically proven, but they don't want to hear that. They'll ignore it, right? So anyway, so I text her. I said, "Hey, have you heard from Ethan?" She's like, "No." And the fact that she's not even concerned, she hasn't even heard from him. Have you? It's like she's not concerned at all. Okay, so I've been calling him. He's not answering his phone. As I was doing the video, I saw that the video before this one. I saw that she calls me, right? So I ended the video, and then I was like, okay, let me call her back. Again, she's like, I haven't heard from you. Have you? So just before I was about to do this video, I got a text from her saying that he's on his way. So I'm texting him, I'm calling him, and he's not responding. He's not replying. again, this is what they do. They will turn their children against the father, particularly our sons. Same thing with my eldest. Right? I will call him, text him, what have you. He does not respond back. He does not call back. I'll text him, hey, just call and check on you, see everything is okay. Are you fine? No response. No response. No response. Right? And they don't even understand it because they've created this mindset within our sons that they don't have to respect us as dads, right? And a big part of it is because, again, of their toxic mindset. They're not. These are narcissistic females. Okay. Like I said, no, I'm not a clinician, but when you look at the personality traits of people with narcissism, I remember in society, everyone in this society as an adult have some level of narcissism because we are living in a society that breeds narcissistic people. Just by the nature of us living in a capitalist society, right? That is based on white supremacy, that is based on profits, okay? And everybody trying to get something from somebody, but no one trying to give anything. It's just, I'm going to take. No one wants to give. So most people in society are on the 2 and 3 scale of narcissistic traits because there are 7, right? There's 7 traits, okay? But more and more people in society are on the 4 and 5 scale. And then the really dangerous narcissistic personalities is the 6 and 7s, where they can't even recognize, even if you tell them. They have no self-correction. They have no self-awareness of who they are. Right? You could tell them, they can say, okay, I'm a narcissist, but they can't do anything to change it. That's who they are. You gotta either accept it or leave them alone, right? But most people, if they're self-aware and they can recognize their narcissistic traits, and they can work on being aware of those things, so they can limit, the toxic behavior and the toxic interaction that they have with people, right? But when you look at what's been happening within the black community, when you look at our women have become more narcissistic than the men, and they're emboldened into being that way. They're emboldened into turning their sons against the fathers, even when the father is trying to do the right thing, right? And a lot of times they're upset because, like I said, women don't listen to men. A man would say, hey, you know what, we're not ready for kids, let's not have kids. My first fiance, we sat, again, that's what I always do. I always sit down. I always say, unlike women who like to go by their feelings and what they believe, they want to go with the flow. I've never been that type of go with the flow type of guy. Even when I was just messing around, not being in anything serious, I was never with the let's go with the flow type of thing. But that's what women do, right? So when you tell them, listen, we are not ready to have children, right? My first fiance, I said that, I told her that. We went to her gynecologist. She got on birth control. She's the only woman that I've ever spoke to about that, sit down about that, and she said, okay, fine, you know what, I'm gonna get on birth control, right? And again, I'm saying this not to say that I don't love my kids. I love my kids, but as a man, we have no say, right? Because women's body, women's choice, right? And they will use that fact because you was not ready for a child, right? In which you spoke to them about. Okay, things happen, what have you. But like I said, any good man would step up and be like, you know what? Fine. It's your decision, fine. I support your decision. Even if you might be a little bit upset about it, you're like, okay, fine, I accept your decision. You try to, do the right thing, right? But these women, mine, are so toxic. They're so toxic They don't care about the children that they bring into this world. They really don't. Okay? They really don't. Because as these children get older, they put into their minds some of the most toxic mindset. So then when these young boys grow up to be men, right, they don't respect women as they should. They don't even respect male authority as they should. Right? Because the mother has to exert her vengeance, her vindictiveness on their children. Just to, they think that they're hurting their father. You know, you are hurting your child. You are hurting your child, your children's ability that when they grow up to have a good relationship with other human beings. They don't care about that. So when you try to teach your children structure, discipline, the things that men would teach their children, their daughters, their sons, because the mothers are not doing it. The mothers are not doing it. The mothers are at work and then they're at church or they're partying. Right? It's like I said, their female nature has been turned against them. So now they act like males. You can't blame a man for being a man. There's certain that's naturally within men as to who men are. But they want to act as if they're men. Right? So again, they're rebelling against men, particularly black men, and black men don't oppress black women. Right? When you look at the statistics, again, this is the liberal lies and the liberal misrepresentation, the white feminist representation that has seeped into the subconscious and conscious mind of black women. Right? They don't tell you that 70% of domestic violence is initiated by the woman, meaning that the woman is the one that put her hands on the man. They're not telling you that. Right? They're not telling you that, are they? They're not telling you that women are the one who cheat the most. And that men, we should be very, very concerned about paternity of the children that we sign that birth certificate with. This is why they are fighting against mandatory DNA, mandatory paternity testing. Women are the ones that are fighting against that. Why? Why would you fight against that? Don't you want to make sure that that man is the father of your child? So if he's not taking care of responsibilities, like, you know, you're part of it, the state to put him on child support. Don't y'all want to make sure of that? But they don't. Go and look at these paternity shows. Okay? And the amount of men these women are sleeping with, getting pregnant, and then just picking one of the dude's name randomly on a hope and a prayer that he's the father. That's what they do. This is what the religious indoctrination comes in. Right? The white feminist movement tell them, oh, you can sleep with as many men as you want. That's okay. But they don't tell them to use contraceptives. Right? If they tell them, I posted the statistics where it says that black women are the least likely to be on birth control and use contraceptives compared to white women, Asian women, and Hispanic women. All right? I've watched too many of my brothers who are taking care of children that are not theirs. And the mother knows that there's a possibility that they may not be the father, or they outright know that that man is not the father. But they will lie and they will deceive. This is what white feminist movement have done to the minds of black women. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Because black women have gotten away from who they are. And again, it is not their fault. Totally. Right? Because you have other black women who were speaking about these things, who was telling us these things, just like you had older black men who was telling the men about certain things. But we are conditioned not to listen. They have isolated us from the people within our communities that know what's going on, so that we don't listen to them, right? They have conditioned our minds with dark NLP, using operant condition, but in a backwards way. Whereas that they, you're rewarded for negative things, right? But if you try to do anything good or right by your people, they're going to attack you for it, so that the next time you won't even attempt to do so. Right? This is what they do. But anyway, I'm doing this video just to, again, you gotta speak the truth, man. And because I say these things, they're like, "Oh, well, you hate women." I don't hate women. I love women. There's the reason why I'm doing what I do. I love my brothers. I love my sisters, and that's the reason why I do what I do. Because we are misguided. We are misled. We are being manipulated, and we need to understand what's going on. Right? Because so you may participate in targeting me, but guess what? Your son could be next. Your daughter could be next. Your father, your aunt. Right? Then I always bring up the scenario, when it comes to cult leaders. And if you go get the book Cults in Our Midst by Margaret Singer. Not Margaret Sanger from Planned Parenthood, but Margaret Singer, who was one of the world's most renowned expert on cults. Right? Cults followers, their members, as well as their leaders. Right? And so when people participate in cults, particularly these destructive cults, they themselves are being criminalized, and they don't even understand it, because the leaders have to make them make them criminals in order so that they don't come forward and expose what's being done, because then they will put themselves in a position where they could be held responsible for what they have done. All right. Like I said, I was watching the documentary of Charles Manson, and because he came out of the CIA MK Ultra program, and so in order for him to gain the loyalty of his followers, he needed to get them involved in murder, right, in criminal activity, right. So he's not the only one. He goes, I can't. If I get my hands dirty, you're all getting your hands dirty. And this is what they do to the public. This is what they do to these cult members when they engage in this behavior. It is a criminal behavior. It is a criminal behavior. Right? Conspiracy against rights. Okay? Criminal action under the color of law. Right? Depriving people of their constitutional rights and civil rights, human rights, under the color of law. Operating as a criminal organization under the color of law. You see, like I said, as a TI, we have to understand the legal terms, that which we need to know. And once we know these things, they understand that we know what it is that they do is a crime, was a crime, and will be a crime, and continue to be a crime. Right? So we must understand these things. Okay? But I'm saying all of this just to try to put many things into one context. It's like, because again, understand how they operate. You hear the sirens all there? Yeah, I understand how they operate because I'm exposing their shit. That's why they always bring out the fire trucks and all the police, what have you, such. Okay, but this is what they do. As a TI, they will try to destroy the connection between your children, between your loved ones, between your partner. Okay, they will sever those type of relationships because they want to isolate you and you be by yourself, sad and alone. But what they don't realize is that even those that participate, that the same thing is being done to them. The exact same thing is being done to them. Okay, but they can't see the reality. They can't see the truth. The religious belief system in their minds has blinded them, has corrupted their rational and common sense thinking, so to the point where they have none. Right? It's like a virus uploaded into their minds. Right? And you cannot, unless you have experts to like when your computer get a virus, you take it to a computer repair or you download an antivirus software. That's what we need. We need an antivirus software to eradicate in the minds of these destructive cult members. These fanatical cult members. All right. Anyhow, talk to you guys in the next video.